Hey, okay. Hey, everyone. Richard here, Kosh ADV. Carl, I see you're in the chat. Very nice for you to be here. Thanks for your continued support. Hopefully you saw the video, it's a while ago now, of the gardener running. So I really appreciate your good efforts. I'm a lot more confident and competent with the gardener now than I was. Um, so this is more meant to be interactive session. I'm not sure how many people will turn up. I've really neglected this channel over the last, 18 months, 2 years, and I apologize for that. Life got very busy last year, and I attempted some YouTube stuff, but sort of between work and then I started building a yachting app, I really got distracted. So now basically I have two priorities. One is Llanreath, and the other one is to get my yachting app sort of scaled, shall we say. It's a great product, still fairly new, and the yachting app has to pay for Llanreath. She needs a bit of work. So what I'm going to do here, this is, I've got a camera over a plan, so this is actually a real plan sitting on my desk. I just want to talk through a little bit of the difference of what she was like when she was built versus where she is now. And there's sort of been three main stages in the life of Llanreath. The first one was when she was working for Milford Haven, and I never know whether to say Haven or Haven. Somebody on Instagram told me it's pronounced Haven. I don't know if anybody can correct me on that. So there was that life, and so that was from 1972, I think, to about 2006. So that must be 30, 35 years roughly. Then she was with the previous owner in Wales, and unfortunately, she got butchered quite a bit. And I'll show you some of the work that was done. No disrespect to the previous owner; it was their boat; they can do what they want. But unfortunately, she actually needs some steel work to bring her back to how she was, which is seems like a bit of resource. They had different plans, but unfortunately, and this is one of the sad stories of boats, is that the owner actually died apparently running on a treadmill, while owning the boat. So he was in the, spent a lot of time working on it. And he never got the benefit of that work. Unfortunately, it sat in Girvan Harbour. And again, I can't pronounce that. Apologies, I'm not Scottish, which is on the west coast of Scotland. So it basically sat in that harbour for 15 years. So we'll take you through a little bit of the story of that when I got it. And over the last 18 months, she had a lot of work on it. I think people know it was a bit of a gamble. I bought her without a survey. She's in horrible condition, but I think she was advertised for about £15,000. I offered £1,000. Of course, really with boats, it's not what you pay to buy it; it's what you're going to spend after you buy it. So this one needs a lot of work. So I really didn't want to start with 10-15,000 pounds already in. So at least that's funded some of the repairs. But she still needs a lot of work. So I think the summary now would be she's stabilized, the engine runs, the steering was replaced, and the wheelhouse is in the middle of being repaired. And we know that from the survey, the hull is good, really good, brilliant British steel. I think high carbide steel, is that the correct term? From the early 70s, British steel, great Gardner engine, which is now pretty much repaired for now. So the bones are good, but she can be moved to some degree, but she still needs a lot of work moving forward. So again, if you've got any chats, just any questions or want to comment, just let me know. I'll just keep my eye on the chat. Okay, sorry, I just need to do something quickly on the stream. Okay, there we go. We are in. Great. Okay, so I will carry on. Yep, I will carry on. Right, so this is the original plan from the designer, Keep forgetting the name. It's probably not that important right now. James W. Cook Wivenhoe from Essex. I don't think they're around anymore. Like unfortunately, a lot of really great British engineering companies have disappeared. Surprisingly, Bruntons, who made the propeller, are still in business. I think they're a bit more specialized, really, with folding propellers for cruising boats. And I spoke to the sales guy, hopefully do an interview with him in the next few weeks. So this is the pilot boat as she was planned to be. Maybe you can see a little bit. If the picture quality is too bad, we can dive into the. I've got a high quality PDF scan. We can take a look at that. So just starting with the hull, I'll just move from the back moving forward and just try and give you an idea what happened. So starting here, we've got the rudder post. We've got emergency steering. There's a brass cap on the deck, and there's a tiller which sits in this aft peak. So I haven't tried it yet. Be one of the things that needs to be tested before we go to sea. But that should all be in place. The original condition is there, which is good. We've got a cleat there. I'm pretty sure that's missing. Now, originally this was a steel rail which going around the boat. It was really in two sections. Because it was a pilot boat, this one here, this was actually sitting on the inside of the deck. And once we see from above, you'll see that. So the pilots would stand here, they would hold onto the deck and then, jump across onto the boats. So again, she was from Milford Haven, which is just outside the Bristol Channel, as I understand it. And this basically took the pilots out to oil tankers to bring it back into the oil refinery in Milford Haven. So that steel rail was gone. It's sort of been replaced by some stainless steel and wire. Again, probably not necessary, I would say, but hey, it is what it is. The shape looks really nice, to be honest. But I think I would have preferred much better a sturdy steel rail than the one I've got at the moment. But fine, it is what it is. So I think this cleat's gone. It's got a big fender around it, which is really good. So 10 by 8 inch solid rubber fender. On the other side, on the port side, they put a diving ladder. And they actually cut out maybe a foot or 2 feet of this rubber, and it was sitting inside the boat. And when I saw it, I didn't know what it was. It just looked like some very dark wood. It's really, really just solid, thick, like really inflexible rubber. So when it says rubber, kind of think, soft, bouncy, but this is, really tough as it, needs to be. So that's still in place, which is good. Like I said, it's on the other side. It's been section cut out, and that dive ladder is not too bad. At least it gives you some way of getting people into the boat, or if you want to swim or anything, it's not too bad. So that's all in place. These fender stays, they hold it in place. At some point, this is actually going to have to come off, and then the whole hole will have to be blasted, taken back, and then built up again with primer and coating. We did put some anti-foul onto the boat. Sorry if you can't see me. I'm not sure you need to see me. But we did put some anti-foul on the boat under the water. And surprisingly, there was no rust. There was just a little bit of rust sort of on the port side aft, just a tiny bit, which was ground off, and it was good. And the hole measurements were good, as like we said. So the two major things that they've done, right? So here's a oh God, my apologies for my forgetfulness. Where you tie the ropes to. I sound like, it'll come to me in a second. Yeah, basically that's in the center, so that's pretty good. It's still there, but it looks like they might have put a hydraulic winch onto it to help you wind the ropes in. Now I can see inside there's hydraulic lines going to it, and from the outside it looks like could be. No idea how it works, no idea if it does work. I've got hydraulic problems, but that's still in place. And here you can see a hatch, and they used to have regulation hatches. Sits probably about 30 centimeters above the deck, with a like a closing hatch over the top. They wanted to use it as a diving boat, so they basically cut that off, and it's basically flush with the deck now, which is problematic because you get this gutter around the hatch, so it's flush with the deck, and there is a pipe which runs off the overflow and goes over the side of the boat, sort of under the roof on the inside of the boat. But if it gets filled with sand, like if you live down by the beach in Girvan, it gets filled with sand, and you basically get a small flood in the aft peak. So that will probably have to be put back in place. We'll see. And then you've got a bulkhead here. So originally this was just a very small storage area. So you got the rudder room, and then a storage area here. But they actually moved it forward. So you can see that was there. And I would guess they moved it forward maybe about a meter, shall we say, maybe not quite that far. And, they were trying to build a bed inside. Well, actually, they did build a bed inside. And they had these solenoid things. So the bed head would go up. So you could press a button and the bed head would rise. Completely superfluous, and there's a lot of electrics sort of here in the back, which has all been removed now. So that was meant to be an aft cabin. Now the problem with that, when we had her underway, the noise from the propeller is so loud that you can never stay in there when you're underway because it's just too loud. And unfortunately, you lose a lot of really good storage area. And now here, there's no opportunity to build a cabin inside the accommodation area because it's too short. So, probably what has to happen is move this back. And I haven't taken the paneling off the wall, but I did speak to a welder in Girvan who told me that the welding of this previous owner was not too great. They did it themselves. And, so unfortunately, this probably has to be, cut out, cleaned up, put back in its original position, and reset, and then we can actually build maybe a private cabin in the accommodation area. Yeah, and that actually touches on one bit, and this is probably part of the problem, not the whole problem, but now she's nose heavy. So if you see here on the plan, the rudder post should be in the water, but now she sits nose heavy, and you can actually see just the top of the rudder post. So she probably is out of the water here. And I think it's like from at least two areas. You've got, I don't know how much the hatch weighs or this bulkhead weighs, but the hatch is gone, the bulkhead has moved forward. That does some effect. Probably the big one is in the forward store, they built, put water tanks here. So the floor was raised. This is pencil mark, I guess, from the previous owner. So they raised the floor. New water tanks were in there. So stainless steel water tanks, which, is not too bad. And now the whole thing sits just a little bit too heavy, and they're huge water tanks. I don't know the volume, but, you've probably got like at least a ton of water, I would suggest. And this boat only has a ton of ballast, and the ballast is sitting basically here at the back. So it looks like when she was built, her natural position was nose heavy. So they, flattened her out with a ton of ballast at the back, just concrete. And so after we adjust it, I'm probably going to have to put some concrete in the back just to flatten her out. And again, the problem is the roof is not flat. So as she leans forward, you get puddling, sort of behind the wheelhouse here. This catches water up here. There are drain holes, but unfortunately the water doesn't drain out of them. It builds until it goes back to the drain hole. So this is, a small problem. It'd probably be fixed by a ton of concrete. But just one of these things where it does affect the seaworthiness. And when we moved the boat from Girvan up to Troon, which is about a 4-hour sail, we had a bit of a following seas. There was a bit of cavitation on the rudder because as the boat, the wave would catch the boat and lift it up. I'm pretty sure the rudder was actually breaking out of the top of the water there just a little bit. So you could feel it. All of a sudden you get, speed up on the engine, the revs would go as the wave passed underneath, and then she would settle back into the water. So slightly problematic there. But it's just weight. It can be fixed. So then if we move forward here, yeah, this bollard here was completely removed. Don't know why. And again, I don't know how. It was a pretty clean, you would expect like a dirty cut or weld on the deck, but it was completely clean. So I need to probably inspect under that. I haven't actually seen under the panels there. So I'm not sure if it was fixed from below the deck, but that's gone. And that's pain in the ass because you actually need that to properly secure the boat to a dock. But fine, that will have to be rebuilt and put back in place. And then if we move forward again, this ladder is here. This is a removable ladder. It can be hung over the side. So, gets a man overboard. It's pretty good. The windows are all still original. They had all been sort of removed or partially removed. So Nick, my friend, he and I spent basically a whole day resealing them and bolting them back in. They're all there. This window here forward on the port side is basically still held in just by silicon. So that's a job to do, but not too bad. And again, when the wheelhouse gets done, the wheelhouse really needs to be blasted back to the aluminium and repainted. Again, low priority, but at some point. And then, if you move forward, these rails have been cut off and some of them have been butchered a bit funny all over the place. I can't remember where, but some of these have been cut. So we, again, all this stuff will have to be custom built at some point. So yeah, this has all been removed, etc. Then we move forward. There were davits here, man overboard davits. So basically they went up here and they would swing out over the side of the boat. And there is a winch just to the side of the door, sort of on the back of the pilot house. So basically you could winch, a man up into the boat. So given it was a pilot boat, that would be one of the risks that would have had to be managed. So, you've probably all seen the photos of pilots falling off the pilot boats. So that was pretty good. And wish they were still there. And maybe, again, low priority, if time and money ever avails itself, I would like to put them back. But when they were removed, there were two bolts holding them together here, like holding a bracket above this vent. So that's an engine room vent. And the bolts were just removed, partial brackets in place. But that was a point of basically water was leaking in. So water was leaking into this chimney, or basically leaking here, running down this vent into the engine room. So I think it's quite lucky she didn't flood, because I don't know when this was removed, but she was sitting in Girvan Harbour probably for 2 or 3 years, after the poor previous owner died. And this would have been slowly filling up with water. So the bilge, had water in it. It's been pumped out now. It's pretty dry. And the thing we found, because there's was a few leaks all over the place, if anybody's used this roofing tar paper, which is the silver paper with the black tar on the back, and basically heat it up with a with a flame and melts it. So we basically sealed that with roof tarring paper, right? So it does the job for now, and the permanent fix will be basically to either weld those bolts shut, what the bolt holes shut, or just reinstall the bolts with insulation, which is probably what will happen. And then that leaves the opportunity in the future to replace the davits. Then if you get into the funnel, so the chimney, the exhaust is in the funnel. So basically the pipe, with the flap on the top. Well, the pipe's still there, but I opened these up, you got these spark-proof hoods, basically, grids on top, metal grids on top, pulled it off, and the flap was there. As soon as I touched it, it broke off. So it was rusted all the way through. And again, I was surprised that no water got inside. For some reason, water is not, falling in there. So yeah, again, small job, but again, above my skill level. So, the guy who's doing the wheelhouse will probably have to fix that at some point. And then if we move forward, a couple of things here. I'm not sure the status. We have this sort of vent here. I'm not sure if that's still there. And we've got one here. I just can't remember now. It's been a little while since I've been on the boat and I haven't looked at these plans in detail. I don't really remember them. So, removing things like that, I don't like. It generally, things are installed for a reason, especially vents. So then we've got the man overboard light, the safety equipment. They're still underneath, and I've got like rope throwers and pyrotechnics and everything sitting in the aft peak. I've got rid of some of them, but some of them have to go. They're all completely out of date, so that's a little bit of a safety hazard. We've still got the lifebuoy brackets, which is good. The original lifebuoys, they'll have to be replaced again. Deck lights still there, don't work. Here we've got a fire hydrant, and I'm assuming, I don't know, but I assume that because they were going out to fuel tankers, this was needed for that purpose. That just in case there was a fire, they could. I'm not sure you can put out an oil tanker with these. I'm pretty sure you can't, but for the protection of the boat, I assume they're underneath. I don't really need them, but it would make a great deck wash. Or, I saw one recently in Seattle, a $1 million yacht burnt in the marina. Maybe you can save your boat, maybe not. It all depends. So, again, if we go up to the roof, you can see here we've got a folding mast. I haven't folded it yet. I really want to. So I think, in terms of navigating inland waters, apart from, the large bridges, you've probably got the same you have to follow the yacht routes where the whole bridge is open. But I want to try this, but it looks fairly well balanced, but I kind of don't want to do it by myself in case it like swings up and you never know what happens. So I'll do that with a friend and probably set up some sort of pulley system just so we're, know exactly how it works. But yeah, nice little feature, fine. Surprisingly, the mast is in relatively good condition, needs a paint, bit of surface rust, but really well built boat. Here, this is a Deco radar from the 70s. We don't have that anymore. We've got a Furuno, still works. Surprisingly, it's one of the the few, if not the only, electronics that work. Loud hailer, I think that's missing. The searchlight is there, doesn't work. We've got a horn, it's there, doesn't work. It's attached to a block of wood which is falling off. So it's a little bit of a disaster on the roof. Again, not huge, but all of this will have to be replaced. We'll see if we can preserve the original equipment. That's nice. Given it's just lights and wires, I'm pretty sure we can do that. That's fine. Ship's bell is missing, unfortunately. I haven't found it. What else have we got here? Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Yeah, all this sort of stuff on the back. Can't remember if I don't think the is that a flagpole or that's just something else? I'm not sure. Yeah, so all this stuff kind of is gone, shall we say. Then moving forward, we've got two hatches. Now again, we had an engine room hatch, that's gone. We had a hatch into the forward store. And look, there was another hatch here. We'll check that on the top. So this one's still there, but it's been replaced. It's got a plastic, like in one of these plastic yachting hatches, which you see on these fiberglass boats, which I don't like. So these were, pretty heavy duty steel. So all the hatches are gone, unfortunately. I mean, I got a nice big front deck, which is good. Although this one, they left the hatch on, which doesn't open fully and leaks. So again, we have the roofing tar paper on that just to keep it watertight for now. All these vents are gone. These vents are stayed, surprisingly, which is good. So this forward store is now a forward cabin. So it's actually reasonably well ventilated, surprisingly, and with a ladder up here. Life raft and life raft holder is gone. There's a life raft on the back, which was way out of date, so we've replaced that. Here, I'm not actually sure what this is. This was probably the original anchor winch, I guess. So now we've got two hydraulic anchor winches on the front deck, which look like they're good quality, but not sure they actually work. Again, they're hydraulic, and the hydraulic system, we'll probably have a look at maybe some of the photos there quickly. Gone. So, again, probably the summary of that is, from this view, that the bones are good, the hull is good, everything, the main equipment seems to work, but there's a lot of like steel that's been cut off, a lot of equipment that doesn't work anymore, and I'll show you some wheelhouse pics in a second to show you just how bad it is. So that's the paper plan. Makes it relatively easy for me to point at. I'm not sure. Carl, hello, sir. Hello, Carl. Welcome. I know if you can see this, because if you want more detail, I can open up the PDF. Just let me know in the chat. These are pretty interesting plans. So there we go. Do a bit of overview. So we've got two here. We've got below, and then we've got above. So what have we got here? We've got that's the rope pound spare. Okay. Geez. Okay, this is worse than I thought. So I was talking about the hatches. We'll start with there. There's the hatches. So now the hatch is actually more or less on this bulkhead somewhere here where this anchor is. This anchor is not tied down. This is a spare anchor. So I assume they had the fittings on the deck. The deck, they're all gone now. So it's just basically sitting in the aft upright, tied to the rail. Again, that will have to be put back in place. The rope pound, fine. That's more or less where the hatch is now. These were removed, gone. So like I said, so I think the plan was for a dive boat. So they wanted to put some decking up here so the divers could get ready and jump off the boat, I suppose. What else have we got here? Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting one here. Now, this was plans for two boats. I think the Hubberston and the Llanreath. There is a deck bilge pump here. I haven't seen it. We had wood on the deck. The wood has been removed. It was rotted as hell. It was a Roco, which is a very expensive, good wood. Looks like it lasted 50 years or thereabouts. Unfortunately, it had to get removed. And yeah, that was one of the funny things. When I was removing it, he'd actually replaced some of it, but originally it was actually held down by screws. So they basically weld the thread onto the deck, put the piece of wood over it with a hole, and then they screw a bolt on, and then they siliflex it, right? Well, the previous owner actually used spray foam to stick the decking to the wood deck to the steel deck, the planks to the deck, and so you lift it up. It was sticky and wet. It was just absolutely awful. So yeah, fine. These are probably not big things, but for the Swiss regulations, I need a deck bilge pump, so that will have to be put back in place somehow. And then there's a escape hatch here, and that's gone now. That was removed, and pretty poor job done on that. And that's more or less the position of the new bulkhead. So the idea again was to have a back deck. That bulkhead's been moved here. So yeah, so that's all gone now. Probably won't put it back in place unless there's a regulation reason to do it. If you're there, you can easily come up the stairs and out the back door. What else we got? Yeah, here are the Samson posts. They're gone, both sides gone. And yeah, I think that's probably it for now. For that bit, is there anything more on here I can see? Yeah, maybe a couple of other things. So, okay, as we move the bulkhead here, there was actually quite a bit of room here. You probably could have laid down there. I don't know exactly that measurement, but that would probably be 6 foot at least. Escape hatch above, table. So that was basically the crew area to eat and have cupboards, and could have been basically, it's huge. Once you get down there, there's a lot of room. So you can put probably a cabin here and cabin here, who knows. Now what's happened since is all this toilet stuff was removed, needs to be replaced. Yeah, this is a mess. It's not even worth talking about. It's an absolute mess below here. And if we move into the engine room, again, if I look at the spacing here, I kind of fear that this bulkhead was moved forward, because you've got a fair bit of space here behind the fuel tanks, and that space is basically gone now. but I would probably have to measure it to see, because these tanks kind of look a bit smaller than they were. Fine. What have we got? We've got the Gardner engine in the center, bunch of pumps and stuff at the front, sort of emergency bilge pumps, backup water pump for the Gardner, the silencer exhaust system. And again, one of the things I don't understand, there is a gen set here, which we can't use at the moment because the heat exchanger is wired the wrong way. It basically feeds hot water back into the heat exchanger, so it just gets hot within about 90 seconds. You're basically boiling the cooling water. Workbench is there. The original battery box was here, but it's been put up sort of in a very inconvenient space up behind here. And they put a dive generator here for filling air tanks. So it was a compressor there. So that's gone. So that's moved. That will probably go back. The the compressor's been pulled out. Switchboard has been completely switched out, and we've got some very hinky sort of caravan inverters and wiring up here. It works. It's okay for now, but the wiring in the engine room is an absolute mess. It's so messy. It's just absolutely horrible. So at some point it's going to have to be completely rewired. So again, that's what you get for spending $2,000 on a boat. This lubrication tank is actually being moved here. Again, no idea why. It's got hydraulic fluid in it. Unfortunately, it's dripping, so I need to fix the tap on it. What else we got? Yeah, here, all of these through-hole fittings. So we've got a through-hole fitting basically coming in here. So this is the cooling water going into the engine. And then we have these valves for, for the bilge, fire pumps, things like that. These were all serviced and rethreaded and everything, so they're all good. This sandbox and scoop was sitting over here, but it's all rusted and basically needs to be thrown out. And originally, you probably can't see it here, they put some wood. So here you had like proper grates protecting the shielding to protect against these moving parts. They were removed, don't know where they are. And there's a wood floor over the top, so it feels completely insecure here. So again, the wood floor has to be removed. Thankfully, we've got the we've got the original floor underneath, and on this service shaft we need to add a couple of things as well. So we'll do that and then make it safe again. And he did put, I mean, this is one of the good things, I suppose. There is a watertight door going into the what's now the forward accommodation. Yeah, so again, it is what it is. Like I said, you know what you pay for £2,000. But now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change to some pictures. Yeah, Carl. Yeah, the boat's still in the UK. It's actually sitting in Girvan. Oh, sorry, it's up in Troon Harbour. So let me. Is that the one? No, that's the wrong one. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I think you probably know where that is better than I do. But so basically, I think the story of the life over the last 20 years is she moved from Milford Haven, where is Milford Haven? It's all the way, I think, around there somewhere, right? So she moved from Milford Haven up to Girvan, sat in Girvan Harbour here for, I don't know, 15 years or more, 20 years. And then we moved her up to Troon. So here we got Turnberry, that's Donald Trump's golf course here. Sailed her up the coast, past the castle, which is pretty nice, past Ayr, which used to be a nice place. Now it's, unfortunately, a lot of UK towns seem a little bit run down. And in Troon. So here we've got Troon Harbour. So we've got the marina here, And yeah, we came in through here, and basically right now she's tied up somewhere here. The Jim who's working on it, Llanreath, he's doing the wheelhouse work. It's there. So yeah, it's in the UK, and unfortunately it'll probably be there for the foreseeable future. So we've got to get the wheelhouse done. And unfortunately, due to finances, everything's a little bit on hold at the moment. So I'm just paying marina fees and until we can get the cash flowing again. Okay. So I'll show you some photos. So this is when I bought her. This must be December 2024. Again, tied up in Girvan Harbour. So there's some very interesting things you can see here. The previous owner wanted to pull down this original wheelhouse and put a new wheelhouse on, and apparently had bought the aluminium and had started welding this railings onto the deck. So that was how the wheelhouse was going to be secured. And you can see things like this, where the steel rail where these was tied onto have been removed. Thank God he didn't cut it off. There are a few deep cuts here somewhere we replaced. You can see here that the handrail was cut. So again, some of that will have to be replaced. The windows are out. Thank goodness the windows were there. But basically, this is all in pretty poor condition, especially in places in the corners here. The railing kept the water inside, so it must have been for years you had these pools of water just rusting and deteriorating the steel. And yeah, just a complete mess. There you can see the wooden decks. Yeah, I mean, I kind of was hoping some of it could be saved, but when I pulled it up, it was just rotten, absolutely completely rotten. And you see sections here. I think that's a piece of wood, but that's basically held down by spray foam. And this is one of the scary things about the boat. The interior of the boat, he insulated with spray foam. And I'm not sure how fireproof it is and, you know, how secure it is. So probably it has to be, the whole interior has to be pulled out, the spray foam removed, and, you know, re-insulated. So fun. What else? These doors and these locks were in pretty poor condition. So the doors have actually been sanded and painted, and they close. Excuse me. They close properly now. Sorry, they close properly now, which is good. On the roof, you can see a bit of a garden there. This life raft, which has been replaced. This life raft's still there, but it will be thrown out. These vents, which are all leaking. What else we got here? Oh yeah, more or less you can see here, that's my job of this wind vane had been, it was powering the boat, keeping the battery charges, had been there for, I don't know how long, probably 15 years. And literally in the first week I stayed there, we had a big storm and it blew apart. So woke up in the morning, it was dangling down. The propeller parts were all across the car park. And then now it's been removed. But yeah, was just another thing to be broken. There was a dead seagull on the roof, again removed. It's just, yeah, full of stuff. I think there's a TV antenna. Oh, the loud hailer's there. There we go. We've got a searchlight, radar. Yeah, and the chimney stacks. And again, I had to clean these out. These are the drain holes for the chimney. And basically around where the pipe comes out, you just had powdered rust, really. So that all had to be cleaned. So you can see, yeah, it's a really, really rough condition, the boat, absolutely rough. The back deck was just covered in just rubbish. That's all when the boatyard, this all been removed. And there was just massive amounts of fiberglass resin. And I think his insulation technique, from what I can tell, was to put in spray foam, cover it in wood, cover it in epoxy. And I tried to remove some of it. It's painful, absolutely painful. There's the original anchor, and behind it there's a toilet sitting on the deck. So it's just a crazy picture. What else have we got here? Yeah, we'll look on the interior. So this is the original wheelhouse floor. You've probably seen some of these photos before, but a couple of things in this photo. So we now have a hole. This is where they wanted the staircase, the ladder to go underneath to be. But it was just so tiny you couldn't get in there without catching your jacket or ripping the jacket. You can see the cut aluminium here, quite a poor cut, because these portholes, they were put in originally to give light below decks. So originally there was no floor here, just the portholes, and then this was the base of the sofa, the seat. So this was covered up, but they decided to do that. So you'll see we're actually removing the portholes. We'll keep the floor where it is, and just remove the portholes because they're leaking, unfortunately. And yeah, another shot of the windows. So again, you can see where they cut the aluminium. I guess there was probably a rail around here where this floor is. And unfortunately, again, I mean, you just want a dry interior. The boat was wet and rusting. And then just things like this. No idea what this piece of metal was meant to do. It doesn't really seem to serve purpose. This between the wheelhouse and this new railing was just full of sludge and water. Absolutely horrible. Here, yeah, again, sorry for the angle. This is the winch, the man overboard winch I mentioned before, and this is the bracket for where the davit was. But you can see the hand railings being cut off from here. So you can just see, you just see here where it was cut off. So that's all gone, which has to be put back in. And you can see here, there's some of my handiwork with the roofing tar just to try and make it a bit watertight. This is the interior. So if you go up on the sort of the right hand side, that's moving up to the wheelhouse. You can see here we've got a hole in the floor. So again, probably just rust. It's been sitting there covered in water. This steel rail where the aluminium wheelhouse is connected to, this all rusted through. So you're actually looking at the back of tar here as I've tried to make it watertight. It's not too bad now. It's more or less dry, shall we say. But this all needs to be blasted and probably needs some steel work. It's it's an absolute real mess. But on the good news, I'll show you some wheelhouse repairs. This is a close-up of the bolts being removed. So that's where the wheelhouse bolts would have been, I assume. Let's try and get a better picture. So these were sent from the engineer. Yeah, this engine was sitting in the it's in the engine room, in the aft of the engine room. I originally thought it was attached, and I didn't know what it was, whether it was a emergency bilge pump or whatever, but it was just a loose engine sitting in the engine room. It's now been removed, sitting in the workshop. I actually want to bring it back home to Switzerland and try and rebuild it, see if I can. It'd be a good little project. But yeah, I have no idea what the plan was for that, if it was original or not, but it's now gone. And you can see here the back deck, where mentioned that the combings and the hatches had been cut off. So you have a little bit of a ridge. That was flush before when we had the wooden deck. But now you can see that it's still not great. So that will be replaced at some point. And you see here they've started removing the bolts. Same shot. You see a little bit here where they've cut away the wheelhouse, and they've actually removed the portholes here. So you're looking on the port side of the wheelhouse. They've removed it, replaced it with fresh aluminium. And so basically the plan is to cut above the rotted aluminium and then again refresh the deck rail. So big sections had to be cut out and replaced. Oh yeah, and this one here, we put a little bit of a frame around the the stairs because it was pretty dangerous. It wasn't there for a long time, but yeah, that was built so it's at least a little bit safe. And here you can see supporting the roof of the wheelhouse to keep it from falling down, removing the bolts, and one bolt there. I guess I don't know if they're removing or adding. But yeah, you can see, so that's quite nice, starting to get some nice clean aluminium in place. And again, more of it, cut the aluminium. This one was all rotted, so they've replaced and welded that. Done a really great job. So yeah, this will help a lot to have a dry wheelhouse. The bits that were cut out, so these were the old portals. And again, you can really, so these were the portholes were. And on here, just on the left-hand side, that's where the you saw, I guess, what would you call them? Basically protect you from the weather at the aft of the wheelhouse. That was just completely gone, so that's all been replaced. You can see more stuff here. Just all this needs to be blasted and repainted. So really, still a hell of a lot of work to do. More of the same, but looking nice. These guys are absolutely brilliant. Welded back on and rebolted. So again, really nice. I haven't actually seen this yet. I haven't had a chance to travel. Yeah. Awesome job. Yeah, this was just absolutely horrible before. Now you can start to see that it's starting to look like a proper boat. Yeah, Carl, agree. Absolutely top quality repairs. I mean, UK is in such a funny place at the moment, but you have such great engineers, if you can find them, just really top guys, who know how to work and do really, really great things. And the thing is, when I speak to these people, the fishermen, the engineers, they looking for guys to work. Apparently it's difficult. It's what I've heard. Don't believe me. But yeah, it's still got that industrial heart that started the Industrial Revolution. These are the original photos. This is basically from Find a Fishing Boat, if you know that in the UK. Great little website. We basically buy ex-fishing boats, ex-commercial boats, and some leisure boats. So this is the original wheelhouse. So the original, the captain's chair is still there. These are low resolution photos, so I can't zoom in. And again, just crap everywhere. So everything was just completely stripped. And all this wiring needs to be redone, needs to be insulated. That's where the compass was. So basically there's a hole in the roof with some plastic over the top. But it's actually, the photos don't do it justice. A 60-foot boat, it's huge. Like, it's big. The biggest boat I've ever had. So, once she's done, she's going to be absolutely brilliant boat. Good for, the UK waters, bit of the North Sea, Europe, these sort of things. Probably the Med too. She's probably not a Atlantic boat, I would say, like a cross ocean boat, but really, really good, safe boat. And this is her, looking back. Again, the original original life jackets. Just you just can't understand how much garbage was on the boat. It had this rubber flooring. I really didn't understand the rubber flooring, why it was needed, because all it did seem to do was to collect dirt and water and keep the the boats maintained. So again, that's all gone. But I don't know whether to laugh or cry sometimes. But the question is always, what are you going to do to make it better? Now here, what do we got here? Oh yeah, these are some. So Carl, you might be interested in this. And again, apologies. This is rotated. You're looking at this. It's sort of rotated 9 degrees. Apologize, but this is the engine cover that was leaking. The cylinder was leaking. I think it was cylinder 6. So the piston was pulled and basically, resealed. All the rings and everything was done. So that's been repaired and cleaned up now, which is great. So we've got a, reliable engine. That was a big job. This side of the engine, again, I think this could have been the first visit before they did the work. But down here, we've got the oil cooler. And this one actually had to go back to Gardner for them to fix. So inside there's like an anode strip, and if they can pull it out on the boat, they can generally reseal it. But the problem is that you've got the seawater from the seacock, coming around there. So if it's not sealed and you get a leak, you can sink your boat. So he took the cautious side, which I appreciate, and he took that back to the workshop. They cleaned it up, painted it, pressure tested it, replaced the anode, and been replaced. So that's again, very much like the whole boat. Everything is just overdue maintenance. What else we got here? Where's the oil cooler? Yeah, that'll do now. So, okay. You can't really see it here, but the cooling water comes in. So here we're looking forward. We're on the starboard side of the boat. So basically, it's pumped in under the floor here. So there's a way of accessing that. And here you can see a little bit the raised floor. So again, he welded in a steel cross beam to hold up this wood. But again, you're basically standing over the top of this 700 RPM, 7 to 900 RPM service shaft with things attached. So, if you're at sea, things moving around, the flooring is not secure at all. I would not want to be in that position. And anything spinning on a boat doesn't, it's got to be well protected. So now we're in the aft of the engine. This is above the gearbox. This is a PTO, the power takeoff. And this is what's meant to be running the hydraulic system. So you've got the PTO, and here you've got a hydraulic pump. Now, the problem is it just doesn't seem to build up pressure. And this is powering, well, there's two things. This is meant to be powering the bow thruster. And there's another hydraulic pump, which is to do the anchor winch, which is actually running off the camshaft of the engine, which my Gardner engineer nearly had a heart attack when he saw that, because the camshaft's pretty sensitive. It's got to be well aligned, right? It's not well aligned, your engine doesn't work very well. And yeah, so that was removed, and unfortunately, where it was, we've now got like a hydraulic tank sitting above. I wish I maybe got some photos. I'll try to explain it quick. We've got a hydraulic tank sitting above where the camshaft was, and now that everything has to be moved sort of forward above the service shaft. So we'll put it on the service shaft eventually. But again, we got these very hinky electronics. You got a solenoid here, and the idea was in the engine room you got a switch, and this solenoid would basically drive this lever up. Where is it? Yeah, here you see the connection. It would basically rise up and then engage the PTO. But the problem I've got at the moment is, well, this doesn't work. Fine, okay. But if you remove this and try it, it still doesn't work. So I am no expert on PTOs. I know, Carl, if you've got a view on this. But basically, I've got some powerful bow thrusters, which were installed maybe 10 years ago. Got some powerful hydraulics for my anchor winches. Again, probably installed 10 years ago, but I don't have the hydraulic power to run them at the moment. Again, I don't think it's such a critical issue. I think it can all be done. And yeah, this is a forward view. So again, we're looking forward. So this is the gearbox and the hydraulic pumps. Again, yeah, that's probably about it. And I think this electronic box here is for the solenoid. I could be wrong. Yeah, and that's the other thing. On the engine too, all of the emergency lights, the pre-startup, the warning buzzers and the warning buzzers and the lights are not working. So I need to find an electrician who can help me out with that at some point. Okay. Yeah, it's a bit leaking. It needs to be checked. That's gearbox. Another shot, leaking a little bit. Gearbox. Carl, I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. If you can help me, I think this is oil. I think, and from the wires, I'm guessing that could be sensing how much oil is in the gearbox, like a warning sensor. I don't know if you can tell me that. Oh yeah, there's the other thing too. So I've got three fuel filters. Got the two Gardner engines. So again, these are great because you can just switch over between fuel filters. So you don't have to worry about, shutting the engine down if you need to replace a filter or one filter gets clogged. You can always just, change the lever over. That's great. I've got a Raycor pre-filter for the separation. And when we cleaned the Raycor, it was, oh my goodness, it was dirty, dirty. So it's been cleaned out. The bowl's been cleaned out. The filter's been replaced. But now that these are all good. The oil filter was changed. Same shot, the same thing. Yeah, and this is the lift pump, I think. So basically, you can prime the engine. Just give these a couple of what do you call it, taps, pulls, and then you can prime the prime your fuel. Make sure it works. And yeah, here again, if you open this up, you can actually see the diesel come out again just to bleed your fuel system. And Carl, I really hope I'm not embarrassing myself here, but the Gardner engine is absolutely amazing because I ran it in the harbour. I didn't take it out to sea when it was poor condition, but I ran it just to start it. And the diesel coming out was just, it was almost black. It was absolutely horrible, dirty, probably, due to the filters. And then the fuel has been sitting there probably for 15 years. I've got, I think, 1,500 litres of fuel. The tanks are half full. I think are about 2,900 litres of fuel in total. So she carries, quite a lot of load. But not wasn't so worried about the fuel. I don't think we've got any bugs in the fuel from what I can tell. The Raycor pre-filter helps with the water, but it ran well with a bad cylinder, bad fuel filters, everything else going on. The Gardner just ran okay, and after once she comes up to temperature, the exhaust coming out of the stack was just, you couldn't really see it. It was really clean. So what else have we got here? I think that's maybe more or less what I want to cover. Just give a quick update. Apologies. I usually prepare like PowerPoints a little bit more organized. But I want to give a bit of a shout out to my app, and I won't do any advertising. This is my sort of private channel, but I built this app first of all because I needed it to manage the project, right? Because I found that all the other sort of leisure boating apps, private boating apps, they were just like so simple, almost to the point of being useless. So what I've got here is we've actually got a full engineering model behind this. So we've got systems here and basically break down to, everything on the boat. So if I go to my propulsion system here and look at the engine, you got the main engine, then you've got your subsystems, your cooling, crankcase, cylinder box. And I've actually tried to build the structure of this based on the Gardner manuals. And we go to the cylinder box, for example, in cylinder body 3, we've got the cylinder heads and we've got the cylinder head 6. So that was the one that was changed. So you can see I've got the status green here. All the other ones, I haven't put any status on. You can do that manually, or there's automated formulas to automatically check the status of everything. And, I just sort of thought that while she's now being repaired, I'm going to track literally everything on the boat. And one of the interesting things is when I built this, I've got the ability to spec out screws, for example. And I've got missing bolts for my floors, which I need to go size and find them, whatever. And I don't know about you, but there's so much time wasted in boat ownership when you don't know the specs of the things on your boat. So basically on this does so many things, this app. You can basically, get all the specs of your boat. You've got like all the status, like the life cycle, service events and things you can do on the boat. We've actually got checklists, and these checklists are not dumb checklists, just like, you tick and it's gone. These checklists actually update your components. So this is the template. I could run it. I'll just run ad hoc. And again, you can run it against your trips. You can run against maintenance periods, whatever. And if I go to run this, this is a nighttime pre-navigation list. And so it's very pedantic. You don't have to do it this way. But, I always say memory is a bit of a false friend. Turn on the stern navigation light. So we're doing a full lights check before we depart. Okay. So we turn on the stern navigation light, we turn it on, and this is actually updating the component for the stern navigation light switch. Okay. So I now have in the status of my app what the last position of the switch was. And you do this for any component. You may not want to track your light switches. Maybe yes, maybe no. But if you're driving home and you're 2 hours away from the boat and you go, did I turn off the lights? Maybe this is a good thing. It's up to you. You don't have to do this, but I like it. And then you got acceptance criteria that passed automatically because we wanted the expected value was meant to be the lights on. Selected was on, we go past. And just to skip ahead a little bit, we do the illumination check. So is the stern navigation light confirm it's illuminated? You say, yep, it's on, it's off, or you can say it's defective. And this is a great thing too, because if I go defective here, for example, and failed, and then I go to my readiness timeline. Sorry, she's a big app. She takes a second. What I can do here, I can look at all the reds, everything that needs work. My stern navigation light is defective. So I can see that's defective on the timeline. So on this view, I can see everything that needs to happen now. And I've got a lot of reds, as you can see. And I can also project out into the future. So if I'm planning a trip, so here, this is maybe a little bit unrealistic for where I'm at the moment. If I got a 3-month trip, for example, from July to September, I can see the status of all the things that are going to be, fall due in that period. So what I would say is that, boat maintenance is a hell of a lot of work. Owning a boat is a lot of work. If you wanted more time, you wanted more money, you wouldn't get a boat. And managing your boat, even doing the computer work here in this app, takes a lot of work. But if you manage your boat well, if you plan your boat well, you'll have better voyages, safer voyages, and have more enjoyment on the boat. So all that excess money you spent buying the boat for those few weeks, few days a year, you use it. This is where this work goes, and this is what it's all about. So I'm going to stop doing that. But this is basically going to fund Llanreath. And if you do know anybody who is a meticulous person like myself or is just interested, let them know about this app. There's literally nothing like this on the market. I built this based on my experience from previous medical software career. So yeah, it's actually a super powerful app. So that's it. So Carl, what are you saying here? Not too sure on the bow thruster and hydraulics. Yeah, me either. We'll probably have to take a look at that, do some calculations. Tap on the engine is for draining the bowl to change the, is that what it's for? Okay. Got it. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. The engineer did that this time. I'll be doing it next time. So thank you for watching. I think that's it. There's always a bit of a delay on the chat, so I'll just hang around for a minute. But this is the joys of boat ownership. And yeah, I'm really back now, so I'll probably be doing these streams maybe, once a week. I'll try to do that and try and be a bit more prepared and interesting. If anybody's got questions or topics they want to discuss, that'd be great. I'll try and prepare for that. As you can see here, I've got 2 channels now. I've got my Kosh ADV YouTube, also on Instagram, and I've got Yacht Prep, which is the for my software. That one's going really well at the moment. And so if you want to follow that or tell your friends, that'd be much appreciated. And yeah, we're really, got a lot planned over the next 6 to 12 months. Some exciting stuff. Really want to do a lot more stuff from the boat. I've said the last 18 months have just been busy. Last year was a great year. Had a great customer for medical device. Managed to spend probably 4 to 6 weeks in Scotland, but that was in overalls and working. So I've had the boat for 18 months and spent 4 hours sailing it. This year has been just work. It's been programming, working out this app, and literally spending time marketing. That's a really hard thing. Being a sort of your own business is the marketing bit. No customers, no fun. But I think now getting my head above water and starting to enjoy things again. So I know I haven't been I really appreciate people who've been following me on the channel. I've had people where I've emailed and I've had advice. Like Carl, thank you for joining this. Really great that you're here watching. I try and reciprocate with some interesting stuff for you. And when the boat's moving, hopefully one day we can catch up, have a coffee or a beer or something, take you out on the boat, and that'll be really wonderful. So yeah, okay, just got your chat. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a massive project, and yeah, I kind of feel very connected to the boat. Like I love it, just in my head, the vision of what it will be like. I just got to work to make that happen. So yeah, as I said, the hard work going the software. If I just had a normal job, I couldn't afford it. I barely can afford it now. And basically my whole life at the moment is about the boat, and I'm really looking for 1,000 owners who really are detail obsessed like me and want to get into their boat, and I want to support them with their software and sort of hopefully build a bit of a community of serious boaters, serious prep, serious engineers who we got on the call, very technical minded people, and together, we should solve everything. So listen, I'm gonna wrap up now. Thanks so much again for joining. I really appreciate it. We've got 6 views, which is good for me. And the channel, surprisingly, I've had 200,000 views on the channel. And that's a bit humbling, because when I started this at COVID and just didn't know what I was doing. I know a little bit more what I'm doing. I've got a long way to go. But yeah, so thanks for everyone. I know there's people here today who were there from the start, and I really appreciate your interest. Tell me what you want to hear, how I can improve, because it's all about you guys. Okay, thanks so much. Wish you the best. Good night.